What's going on YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to Also Simplify, where I simplify things for you. Like, comment, subscribe. Try to help me out. Trying to get to the earner status. I need 1,000 subs and a decent amount of watch time. So stick around as long as you can if you feel like you're getting some value from it. Let me jump into this one. It's about how to cut the negativity out of your life. As always, the format of this, I'll give you the quick summary at the top. So if you want to hop off, you can hop off. Deep dive second, application of my life, since most of these are coming from something that either I'm going through, wish I knew a little bit earlier, but generally just some ponderings from myself. So let's jump into this. How to cut the negativity out of your life. The quick summary is it really comes down to three things, which will lead to the fourth thing. The first thing to think about is the places / environment that you're feeling the negativity in. Generally, if you can change the environment or the place in terms of the people, the behaviors, and the thoughts, which are the next subsequent things I'm going to discuss, that can have a huge effect on those three things. What people are there, what behaviors you're doing while you're there, and then what thoughts are coming as a result of all that. So changing your environment or the places you are, if you're trying to cut out anything negative, would be the first thing I would say to look at if you feel like there is negativity in your life. The next thing, and probably the strongest thing, would be the people. Now this is the hardest thing for a lot of people to do because they have attachments to certain people. But the reason why this is the most insidious one is that people, and when I say people, I'm also including media, like watching people. So what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're seeing on a daily basis, but then also the people that are in actual close proximity to you. The reason for this is that they have a direct avenue to your thoughts and your mindset. They can say things like an environment can't directly tell you what to think. A person can tell you what to think and can change the way you think completely, like very directly or even indirectly, but they're talking in the same way you think. They are the same thing as you, so they will have the biggest effect. So that's the people aspect. The next one is going to be your behaviors. Now the behaviors is because the things you do are going to affect the way you think and the options that you're doing. So a simple example that I'll go a little bit deeper later is like if you work out in the morning or if you were to eat a freaking cake in the morning, the subsequent thoughts and feelings you would have moving forward after that are going to be completely different depending on which that you chose. If you worked out, you might feel more energetic moving forward the rest of the day, whereas if you eat that cake, you might be more lethargic moving throughout the day, which is going to affect your thoughts, affect the negative feelings that you feel, but then also the way that the people and environment treat you. You're going to reflect that back because that's the energy you're putting out. Now that's an assumption for another day, but I'm assuming you agree that what you put out is what you get back. So if that's what you did in the morning to start the day, what you're putting out is more negative, so what you get back is going to be more negative. The last thing is going to be the thoughts. This is the real driver of everything. If you are like a super powerful person, I guess you can, keep your thoughts positive and in the correct focus all the time, but that's a little bit difficult. That's why I named those first three things to be like easy levers to affect your thoughts. But spending time after you've cut out the other negative things with your thoughts alone, seeing what thoughts you have, maybe you're the negative person, like you're the one, and you'll be able to see that the more that you sit with your own thoughts. This is what a big thing for meditation is that in meditating, you're basically, and if you break down that word, that means to get familiar with. You're getting familiar with yourself, with your thoughts, and the things that you're putting out in the air, and then you can actually change them. But to go back to the first three, if you're in an environment that's not allowing you to think, if you're around people that are telling you what to think, and if you're doing things that are impairing your ability to think, you'll never be able to get to that fourth place. And that's why the first three were the main things. So really, to cut the negativity out of your life, the four things you really need to do, just to summarize it up, then I'm going to get a little bit deeper, is number one, change your environment or the places you're at. Number two, cut out the negativity, negative people or people that are giving you negative feelings. Next, change your behaviors to things that'll be more positive. And then four, monitor your thoughts to put them in a more positive way so that you can cut the negativity out. So if you want to hop off, you can hop off. For the people that want to stay, help me out, get me some of that watch time. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you didn't like. But let me jump into the deeper aspect now. So to start with the environment piece. So the environment piece, I would say, is big. The example I want to use for this is going to be, I think it was either Vietnam War or World War II. One of these wars, I'm pretty sure it was actually the Vietnam War. There was a ton of studies, so you know how they send like the photographers. I'm in America as well, just so you know. They sent a lot of these photographers out and like journalists with the war efforts. And one of the big things they found was like a ton of the military were addicted to opiates. So with the U.S. government, prior to them coming back, and it could have been the Korea War, it was one of those wars in like between the 40s and the 70s. But basically, as all of these people were about to come back, the U.S. government put all of this like drug intervention programs basically to prepare us for a huge set of like military aged men 18 to 35 coming back with severe drug addiction because they were severely addicted to opiates while they were in Asia. The thing was, when they came back, I don't know the numbers, you can look this up, but it's like basically like 90% never touched opiates again. They went on to have a normal life, found their kids, because I was back when people were actually having kids early and getting married right away. They lived a normal life and they didn't have any of these issues. And one of the main things that they saw was because they were no longer in the environment that started the habit, when they came back to a completely different environment, none of the people, behaviors, or thoughts, though none of those triggers really came up in the environment, so they weren't really in any way influenced to find more opiates. So that right there shows you the power of the environment, that a lot of the times when you're doing negative things, when negative things are happening, when you're around negative people, if you stop going to those places and spending time in those environments, definitely the people change, but then also your behaviors and thoughts will change. Like one thing for me, I've really cut back on drinking a lot since the pandemic happened. There was a period for maybe a year and a half, 2 years where I started drinking again kind of regularly, but then I stopped again. And what I've noticed is like the people that are at the gym early in the morning on a Saturday or Sunday are not the same people that are out at the bar getting hammered all the time. You know what I mean? The people that are, like to use extreme examples, that are in, prison are not the same people that are in a self-development conference. And all of the behaviors, people, thoughts, and things within those environments are going to be extremely different, regardless of the people there. Like actually adding one new person or somebody with new thoughts and behaviors is probably not going to make a major difference, because the environment is so strong that it's going to reflect back to you certain energy, whether positive or negative, and you can make your decision what is positive or negative. But main thing, if you are feeling a lot of negative feelings, think about the environment you're feeling them in. And if you feel like there's negativity in your life, if you want to cut it out, the first thing I would say is to assess the environment itself and make sure that you're in an environment that you'd want to be in, that's conducive to growth. And if it is a negative environment, I would say that's the first thing to cut out and to change, because if you can change that environment, it might lead to the changing of everything else, just like the example with the military coming back when they were addicted to opiates in that other environment. So the next thing is people. So in terms of people, I think this is the most insidious. It's also the most difficult for a lot of people, especially if you've had long-term friendships, if you have codependent relationships, if you have, certain things you're used to watching, certain types of interactions. But people are the ones that are going to hold you back the most. And also, if you want to change, specifically people around you are really going to try to pull you back in, because you are reflecting their negative behavior. So in terms of people, I think you can cut a lot out by changing your environment, because generally you're meeting people and bonding over an environment or activity that probably is negative to begin with. And if you cut that environment out. But if that's not the case, that you're around a negative person, or is a negative person in your family, life, friend group, whatever you want to call it, you have to understand that you're going to have to cut them out cold turkey, and they're not going to like it. This is just the main thing. Because when you're around negative people, they will infect your mind. There's no way around it. This is why people say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You know, like be careful about the company you keep. You know, whenever you hear of like a lot of people getting killed in these ancient stories, A2 Brute, that was like his like disciple. You know, a lot of these things, like people are getting backstabbed by, you know, brothers, friends, things like that, because the people you're around are going to have severe effects, severe access to you. Maybe severe is not the word, but like extreme access to you. They're going to be able to know more things to pull your buttons. And they'll also have the ability to actually, like, in a focused effort, bring negativity towards you. So this is something where you have to be very honest with yourself. If when I spend time with this person, do I feel like they're giving me energy? Do I feel like I'm gaining? Or do I leave feeling sucked down? And that feeling, if you feel like they're bringing you down, you have to make that decision. And you also have to understand that they're probably not going to be with you on this decision. This is going to be a decision you have to make, that they probably have their own view of what's happening, and they're not going to like it. And I think that this is the major piece where a lot of people spend a lot of time with people that they know are not benefiting their life, or that at any point can cause like a severe hamper to their life, and they're just scared to rip the band-aid off and say, I'm no longer going to spend my time with this person. So that's the people. The next would be behaviors. So behaviors, this is important because, one, as I used the workout example, your behavior itself can spark a different feeling within you. So it can like send you on like a more positive trajectory, as opposed to doing certain things that can leave you on a more negative trajectory, which I got into in the beginning summary. But I would like to jump more into a study they did with Rat Park about people that are trying to quit like addictive activities. So this could be like, you know, quitting drinking, smoking, you know, in the particular one they used cocaine with the rats. So basically they had rats drinking a water bottle that was like laced with coke, and they would drink this for like a certain period of time, and then they would give the rats cocaine and water later. And what they found was the rats, so they did like 3 different studies. So that was the first study. When they first did it, and they gave no activities within the rats environment, that basically the rats just OD. They would just keep drinking the cocaine until they kept getting that dopamine spike until they died. But what they were able to do was introduced activities. So there's like the hamster wheel, there's like balls, there's different, I don't know, all rat toys, but they basically created like a rat amusement park within the enclosure. And what they found was, when they introduced all these different activities, the rat actually was able to not take the cocaine and started drinking the water, and actually stop their addictive behavior because they had all these activities to keep them busy. So that's one thing I've definitely realized, like if you can keep yourself busy with positive activities, it definitely can help in terms of keeping you from doing negative things. I know I mentioned the drinking thing before. I'll get a little deeper into myself, as I always do when I apply it to my life. But that was something I definitely saw, was like when I stopped drinking, I worked out a lot more, because I needed to fill that void with something that the drinking was filling, and you could find a more positive outlet in terms of doing that. And that's the example with Rat Park that I think also applies to humans. A lot of people that try to quit negative activities or stop or release the negativity from their life, if they don't fill it with something positive, you're just left with a hole, which is so easy to go back to what you know, which is something I talk about in a lot of my videos, that's the known. So even though you know it's going to bring you down, you know what you're going to get from it. Whereas when you go to the unknown, you don't know what you're going to get from it. So you want to fill it with things that that you have a feeling will bring you positivity, and then be able to jump off the ledge that I'm trying something different. I'm going to move forward with this different activity. And then the last piece is the thoughts. This is really just that at the end of the day, your thoughts are creating the entire reality. Your thoughts are why you're feeling the negativity. Whether or not there's things in your environment, people, behaviors that you're doing that are also bringing that towards you, it all starts with your thoughts. In Buddhism, there's a saying, watch your thoughts because your thoughts become your actions. Watch your actions because your actions become your habits. Watch your habits because your habits become your personality, and watch your personality because your personality becomes your destiny. And essentially the whole thing is that your thoughts is where it starts, but at the end of the day it leads to everything else. So all the other pieces are just really like layers to break down to get to your ultimate thoughts, because once you rip away all of the negativity, all you're left with are your thoughts. And if your thoughts are still persisting when you've removed yourself from environments that are negative, when you remove the negative people and you're doing positive things, you understand that it's actually coming from you that's bringing the negativity, and that's something you can work on. And one way to work on it is using meditation, which if you break down the etymology of the word, it comes down to getting familiar with. And what is meditation? Really getting familiar with yourself. What is making me tick? Where are my thoughts even coming from? Am I generating my thoughts? Should I believe in all my thoughts? Are these thoughts really who I really am? Or is this just a fleeting thing that is coming in and I can just let go? And that's really what meditation is. And when you can really harness your thoughts and drill that to congruent actions and behaviors, that's when you're going to see that exponential growth. And it's a lot easier said than done, and it's not a one-day thing. It's definitely a work in progress. But that's really where everything leads. But the first three things is what can give you the ability to unlock your thoughts and understand really where your thoughts are coming from. So lastly, to apply it to my life, really this video came because I've had to cut out a lot of negativity over the last few years. I'm still working on certain behaviors myself. But as I mentioned, I definitely cut out drinking. For the most part, I really do it on very sparing occasions, if I do it at all. And that has also eliminated a lot of the people that I'm interacting with in my life, because I'm not getting drinks at the end of the day. I'm not meeting people at the bar, and most of the people I'm meeting when I'm meeting different people are doing physical things, whether it's when I go to the gym, when I go do yoga, or I go do jujitsu. Those are really the main places where I'm meeting any kind of new people and having new conversations, and all of those are pretty positive activities to do. The next place where this came was that in terms of people, I've had a situation where there's two people in general I'm really thinking about. One was somebody that I considered like kind of a friend that really left me high and dry, and he actually did something prior that I felt was like a little bit weird, and I knew I needed to cut him out of my life. I basically let him back in, and then he demos my whole house and then leaves on the job, and now I'm left to pick up all the pieces. Then at another, this is like a woman that I was dealing with that I really, early on, I knew this wasn't going to work out. I saw some red flags. I ran the red light, and then she's calling me back, trying to get back in my life, trying to do these things and making up lies, and I have to look back on the fact that like I invited that negativity in my life. That was my fault. But as I've removed some of the bad behaviors that with this individual, we used to drink a lot, I stopped drinking. I don't really want to be around you when I'm not drunk. That's one thing that I realized. Another piece I would say is that in terms of some of the conversations, or if I'm being honest about being addicted to maybe arguing and having my point, that like this individual liked to argue a lot with me, and they like to get you wrapped up into argument, and that was their view of like things are working positively in terms of at least keeping me engaged, and that I would leave, but I would let them come back in because I like to argue and be right. And that was bringing nothing to my life besides winning an argument with somebody that I don't really want to continue to have a relationship with. Once I remove that negativity, now when they come back, I look at things through a different lens where it's like, why even have the conversation? Just block, just move on. And the last thing is just really getting in touch with your thoughts. And that's where it's like having downtime when you're not really doing something to unwind, I think is very important. Like obviously I talked about doing certain activities that bring you positivity, But also on another note, leaving time where you're not doing anything to just sit with your thoughts so that you can have that opportunity to get familiar with like really what's driving you and what's ticking you. I really think that's a place for exponential growth that a lot of people don't explore. Exploring your breath, exploring just the things that intrinsically come to you that need nothing else from the outside world. And once again, you know, a lot of the changes, me posting on a more consistent schedule, a lot of that has come from cutting out the negativity. That's why these first few videos that I'm doing weekly is really about these topics. So that's really it for this one. If you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like, leave some negative content. Any feedback will do. And you know what it is. Until next time, peace